Morning, how are you doing? Thanks so much for being with me. Today I want to give you a bit of a behind the scenes tour on, I guess, how I do things and why I do things, and hopefully give you some nuggets that you can think about. And I know lots of people are in planning mode at the moment or refining mode. And so I want to give you lots of tools today to play around with. So when I first became a coach a decade ago, which has bizarrely flown by, but also I feel like I've been doing it my entire life, I was a tricky student or a tricky box to tick because everybody that I came into contact with of a professional nature in terms of people who were marking my coaching work, they always wanted me to answer this question, which was, can you just niche down? Like, just do one thing and just make it very transactional and just book lots of those. And this has been my nemesis throughout because I am not somebody who does one thing. And when I started, I guess when I started thinking about this at school, I knew that I didn't want to sit in the same chair for the next 35 years. That was a big aim for me. It's not how I work best. It's not how I utilize my skills. And I am much better and I'm saying the word better in terms of not only performing at my best, but feeling good and feeling that ripple effect in the other areas of my life. When I am in the state of feeling sharp and energized and what other words do I like to use? I like to feel creative. I like to feel in momentum, in flow. And so when this question came up time and time again of like, come on, Nicky, niche down, what's your niche? I knew that in order for it to make sense, not only for me, so I wasn't overwhelming myself, but for my clients as well, I knew I had to go in a bit deeper here. And one thing that came up for me always with coaching and with any change that you want to make, I never believe that it's one incidental change. I believe often if you make change in one area of your life, it will create some kind of motion in other areas of your life. And that sometimes can be a great thing, or sometimes it can be a not so great thing. But when I'm focusing on change with clients, I always knew that I wanted to support people to make positive change. And sometimes positive change is not regarded as such by all the people around them, or people start saying to them like, I thought you were this kind of person and now you're not, and now I'm confused. But ultimately going into good throughout that moment. And so if you make one area change, sometimes there can be a ripple effect going on. And I was really determined not just to do one thing in terms of I just deliver one service, which is an hour long. And I had one of those moments where by the 12th minute, we should be here. By the 21st minute, we should be here. By the 43rd minute, we should be there. I didn't ever want things to feel formulaic in that way, or I didn't want somebody to come to me and just go, right, I'll just do this one process. We're dealing with human beings. We're all having conversations with human beings, and we really have to see people. So that's my first takeaway I want to give you today as a service-based business. Are you, or even a product-based business, are you talking to people as though they have thoughts, feelings, emotions, needs, requirements, circumstances? Are you actually talking to them? Are you actually listening to individuals? Or have you, and I guess I've been on the end of something where I've had somebody, try to sell me something on the phone, and they'll say like, I know that mums like that. I know that mums like that. If you're a mum, you're going to love this. But again, we know that demographics are huge and varied and, complicated. So going back to this niche conversation, I always knew that I wanted to include this holistic, this big picture version to my work. And a decade on, this is why I've come to a stage where my business model, essentially, is where it's at. And some people, on one hand, might go, you do lots of different things, and do they complement each other? And firstly, the answer is yes, because there are fundamental parts, I guess, or an ethos that runs throughout, because I guess I am the common denominator. And when people book me, whether they're booking me as an actor or a writer or a speaker or inviting me onto their podcaster, or they want to become a coaching client, there are fundamental expectations or requirements that people have of me. And they are sort of the same across the board. You know, I'll be reliable. I will do what I say that I'm going to do. I'm going to bring fresh energy. I'm going to bring good energy to the project, whatever that might be. So again, a question to throw back to you. What are your ethoses what's your ethos that flows all the way through all the parts of your business? The third thing I want to share is I'm very clear of, I guess, what the overall picture is for my client, which ultimately is to build a personal brand that works with their goals, their personality, and their circumstances. I want people who work with me to be able to have complete autonomy over where they go. So have that sense of whatever happens, I will be all right. I can make money. I can create something. I can package my services in a particular way. I can have an idea and bring it to life. So ultimately, that is how, I guess, the overall arc of my business works in terms of building a personal brand. So they get to that end point where they're like, okay, I'm making money from this. It feels good. I'm providing value. It works with my circumstances. I'm working in a way that feels really good. And I'm meeting my own personal goals, whatever they look like. Then within that, in order to build a personal brand, so that's the kind of overall arc, I know that there will be people who want that whole picture, like, Nicky, hold my hand throughout that process. And let's do this for 6 months and let's really make this transition and make a really robust personal brand so it feels really good. And then there are some people who might say, so for example, as I guess the 4 pillars of this process are planning. So knowing what you want your business and your life to look like, because until you understand what that is, in a sense, you can't do the other things because you don't necessarily know what you're building, or you're building on rocky foundations. Or sometimes when people just go for the money and go, I'll just keep working harder, it conflicts with their life and what they need. So therefore it's not sustainable. And therefore they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I haven't got the work-life blend that I need, etc. So I always start there, asking people what they want, what they need, what lights them up, all of that good stuff. I then help people to move into packaging and pricing. I'm a huge proponent of doing what you love, but equally, we know that you have to earn money in some shape or form. You might be supported by a partner, you might have other means of money, but generally, most people who want to work with me, they want to earn money from their gifts, services, offerings, etc. Absolutely great. So helping people to refine what that pricing and packaging looks like based on their life experiences. The third area that I work with people is moving it from I put it all on my website, it's all there, into how do you market it? How do you share what it is that you do? What do you need to tell people about your services? How can you build relationships? How can you create content? How can you get to this place where your business is being marketed? So an example for mine, my business is being marketed in the middle of the night because people are listening to my podcast globally. That is a marketing channel. Of course, it's full of value and all of that good stuff, and it's free. But ultimately, if people like what I do or they listen, they might come and then become a client. So that's the third stage. Then I guess the final stage is about really propelling this and going, okay, I've got clients, I've got money, it's feeling really good, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go to I'm ready to go to my own next level. So that could be growing their personal brand. It could be press and media opportunities. It could be adding new income streams. It could be adding passive income. It could just be about almost ramping it up. So usually if I give you another analogy, which is when I have my cake mixing, it's called a K-mix basically. And there's a point with the dough, or, when I'm making pizza, I might have it, and there's like 6 levels on it. I might have it on a level 3. And it's like, it's got a nice rhythm, like it's combining all of the things. And that final push is like ramping it up to a 4 or 5 or a 6, like, whoa, let's just see what happens. Let's go for that. So there's those 4 stages. And the reason that I offer that whole process, and I also offer where people are at differently, is some people have already done all that work in terms of goal setting, or they might be meeting me at different points. But for me, and this is what makes me a specialist at what I do, I understand what the whole process is. And this has been something that I have been seeking throughout my career. And I am always looking for advice, coaching, mentoring, help, support, advice, golden nuggets, however you like to refer to them, from people who not only understand like a small situation, a small part of the process, but they can also zoom out and give me that whole perspective. So 2 ways that I've seen this. When I've had both of my children, for example, I've really appreciated it when I've had midwives who have not only been able to focus on where I was at right now in my pregnancy. I'm not pregnant right now, but where I was in my pregnancy. So say week 11, but I also want somebody to have that knowledge in the back of their head, even if they're not sharing it in that moment, of what the labor process is going to look like, or what like week 2 when the baby is out and out in the world, what that's going to look like. Because unless you have that whole perspective, your details and your information that you're sharing at that stage can just become very, very small, I guess, small. And you have to always keep juggling or balancing between these 2 things of what do I need now, what feels really good in the moment, and how does this fit in the bigger picture. Another example that I can give is an estate agent. So if you're looking at buying a house, you don't just want an estate agent who is going to give you all the chat as they take you round somewhere and you view. You want somebody who's going to be able to support the process, who's going to be that great mediator of pulling things together. You don't want just somebody who gives you all the chat, but when things get tough, they can't manage the communication between the people. That's really important, that when they're showing people around, they're knowledgeable of that process and they sell it and they show all the features and they answer all the questions. But ultimately, you need somebody who understands what that bigger picture looks like as well. So there we go. I'm back. So that is where I'm coming from in terms of offering a big picture and a small picture. And I would love you to think about how you can use your specialist knowledge to really help people to take the information that you provide with them, the support that they give, and crank it up and elevate it as part of these pictures. What I see so often is people selling formulas of like, here's how you do this to this. So somebody might say, I'm going to take you from a 6-figure to a 7-figure business owner. Just build this funnel. And the thing is, if you just build the funnel, it's just suggesting that it's just one thing. Or if somebody says, I'm going to teach you how to run a marathon, just keep running. Let's just run every day. It's not accounting for all the other things that you could be doing. Getting good sleep, getting you good nutrition, having great trainers, stretching, drinking lots of water, supplements, cold showers, all of these sorts of different things. There could be different parts of that. So what I'm saying to finish this and to bring it all together is don't underestimate what you can do in that small support, but B, really think about how you can show your big picture knowledge and really support people through that process. So for example, with my process, if somebody is saying, I want to price and package things and I need to work out what that looks like, if I know ultimately that they want to, if they want to be generally working outside. So they want their business to kind of run itself and do what it needs to do, because ultimately they want to have a different business on the side. The way that they price and package what they're offering will have a very different slant on if I know somebody goes, I just want to keep working 40 hours a week and I love working one-on-one. So I hope that has been useful for you today. I would love to hear what you think. I would also love to hear from you and let me know where you would love support. What's your tick list of like, I don't know the answer to that. I'm really struggling with that. Oh, that's not quite making sense for me. Tell me what it is that is going on for you and see if you can articulate it. One final thing I can share is if you don't know what support is needed, ask yourself what could be better, or maybe what's feeling a bit wobbly. So look at all the parts of your business and brand and go, okay, that's feeling solid. That's feeling good. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, great. Let's think about this. Where do you have questions? Where do you have doubts? Where do you have maybe there could be a better way to that? I would love to hear. Do email me, hello@nickyraby.com, or you can DM me. You can check out my website. There's some new things that you can check out too. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you're listening, and do share it with a pal. And I'll catch you again very soon. Lots of love. Bye.